And I'm curious as where the serum comes from. I wonder if the serum's going to be made from Banner or She-Hulk, since her blood is everywhere for some reason.
I was actually gonna say, I wonder if it got set up, if like that's gonna pay off, like what they set up in She-Hulk, if that'll pay off in you know, this
Yeah, maybe
movie.
maybe it comes full circle. Let me ask you guys a question. Are you worried
Mhm.
about fans having to do homework now for Marvel movies? Like, because if you've never seen
I
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you might be lost as F. I mean, something as small as like, and that's just saying if the She-Hulk connection is there, and that's where they got the blood. Like, the idea you have to have watched She-Hulk also for this movie. Do you think one that's in part to maybe why Marvel movies right now aren't doing so well in movie theaters? Um, and that's just my speculation on my part also. Or do you find it as a problem?
I think if you had asked me before Phase Four, I would have said it's not going to be an issue at all. Marvel knows how to give you those Easter eggs without isolating any audience members. But then Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness came out, and that movie, even though yes, technically you could watch it without watching WandaVision, you're going to be lost, honestly, when it comes to her overall character arc. Especially if the last thing you saw her in was Avengers Endgame, you're going to be lost on what's going on with her. So yeah, I honestly do think that it is kind of becoming an issue that they got to be careful for. So I could see them like just using that MacGuffin at the end of She-Hulk and having that pay off in Captain America 4, but like not, but like expecting you to know that basically, if that makes sense.
You know
I
what?
get you.
It's not even the MacGuffin, because if you think about it, at the end of WandaVision, it wasn't even the series. It was the Easter egg at the end, and you know what I'm saying, right before the credits
Oh,
roll.
right,
That
right.
that set up the
That's set
entire
up.
Doctor Strange movie.
That's
So it was
right.
like all
The
that
end
character
credit.
development to reset everything. It was a friggin' end credit. But I would say is more for in this statement like this. I think it would affect more of Captain America's role in this movie, because all
Mm,
of the character development that happened in Falcon and Winter Soldier, this movie is the payoff from it. So if you didn't watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, just like he just said with the whole Scarlet Witch thing, you're not going to have any idea what's going on with Sam Wilson. And not just that, the fact that other events that happened in other TV series are similarly going to affect what happens in this. And God forbid nobody watches Loki, because you're going to be lost completely in a couple of months on anything that go, you know what I'm saying, anything that goes on, because you went and watched Ant-Man and was like, what? What is this? So I don't know, man. I'm a fan because I watch anime. I watch a lot of different content and stuff, right? Um, and for people who say they don't like this, but watch Bachelor in Paradise, The Bachelorette, you know what I'm saying, and all these characters on these shows intermingling and all, you know what I'm saying, other shows. And if you didn't watch the other show, you don't know who this girl is or why this girl doesn't like this girl. We could take it back to Real World and Road Rules. You know what I'm saying? If you
mm,
didn't, we've been trained to take in content like this, and Marvel just made it so easy at first to serve it to us on a platter without us having to go anywhere for it, that I think we weren't prepared for them going, all right, now we're literally going to be making comic books on screen. So if you didn't
mm.
watch these spin-offs, or you didn't grab these comics, you're not going to know what's going on in this comic. So for us as fans of the material, it's easy for us to digest, but the normal consumer is just totally lost.
And I wonder if it's
Yeah,
still
that
too.
that that was the other thing I wanted to point out. Like for me,
Well,
this is all fine, but it's like the general audience is like, yeah, like you
right,
mentioned, that's what I'm talking about.
what I would say is I do wonder if there's enough evidence out there to say that that is one of the reasons why the MCU movies haven't been doing as well lately. Aside from some, maybe not necessarily the strongest writing, I do wonder if that's something that's on top of one of the reasons. And it does feel like I wonder if that also in turn shrinks their audience. Isolates people from really getting invested in the MCU like they did. Like before, it was fine an idea, like, okay, I just got to watch this one movie beforehand, sort of thing. But yeah, maybe the idea that they've trained us for all this, like, got to watch this movie before you watch this movie, and then watch that movie. But now it's like now you got to watch TV series and these movies. It does feel like maybe it's becoming more inside baseball and not as available for the general audience to
Yeah.
just jump on board.
I don't think it's the fact that you have to watch them. I think it was the quantity that they
Mhm.
were putting out. Because to me, all of it was quality. It was just that it was 3 or 4 shows coming out in between movies, and then 2 of the shows might not have nothing to do with one of the movies that was coming out, but a movie that came out at 6 months later, one of the shows has something to do with. I think it's the spacing and the timing of when they do it, and if they whittled it down to maybe a couple of movies a year and then a couple of shows that has something to do with the movies, and if they do a one shot like Werewolf by Night, you know what I'm saying, or anything like that, just to gauge people's, you know what I'm saying, knowledge, or like Moon Knight that has absolutely nothing to do with anything, I think it will go over good. I'm gonna feel sorry for the people who didn't watch Ms. Marvel and then go in and watch the Marvels
Yeah,
and have
yeah.
absolutely no idea what goes on. So um
So yeah, that was my other thing. Is like I would be interested to see how they write these scripts. Like, how are you introducing these characters? If we've never been introduced to them or we've never seen them before in a movie, I think that is probably the biggest key to success. Is like, how do you introduce these brand new characters to the movie audience if they haven't seen any of those series? So I am hoping that they keep that in mind, not just for Miss Marvel, but the Teyana Parrish character, Monica Rambeau. I mean, like again, if you hadn't seen WandaVision, you have no idea who this chick is. You know.
boy,
Um,
boy, oh
so
boy.
so yeah, so we'll see how things go.
Plus, not to mention, yeah, her getting her superpowers was like all set up in one in WandaVision too. So like
Yeah.
that's another, yeah.
Yeah, so you got a lot of yeah, a lot of eyes that maybe haven't seen that kind of stuff yet. So we'll see how the Marvels does. I mean, this was a $1 billion movie, the first one, Captain Marvel, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see if people certainly turn out for this one. The trailer that we've seen so far has looked relatively fun, but we still have certainly more to see before this movie drops. So